LeBron James all the way in.
Here comes Simmons the other way, 3-on-2. Simmons eludes the defender and lays it in with that. Certainly the length altered that shot. Out of the quick steps.
All right, we're back again. We got to talk about them. They've been making a little bit of noise. They've beaten some really good teams. The Chicago Bulls.
The Chicago Basketball Bulls.
Right now, they are 17-27, but at the beginning of the season, you would have told me, if they would have won just 11 games, I would have been like, you know what, that's probably about right.
Yep.
They're surprising a lot of teams. They've beaten some really good teams. They've beaten the Cavs. Even though we've talked about them a little bit and their struggles, they still beat a good Cavs team.
They beat the Bucks.
They beat the Bucks.
Pacers,
Knicks, Pistons.
They beat the Bucks twice in the last 3 weeks.
Yep, 76ers, Celtics. I mean, they've beaten some really good teams. So, another stat to point out is that, Lauri Markkanen he hit the 100 3-pointers in the least, or the youngest.
Yeah, 41 games.
41 games.
3 games less than Damian Lillard, 44.
Yeah. So, what do you think has been the key to success, as DJ Khaled would say, for the Bulls?
I think the thing about this team that's really interesting, I think so many of their players have reasons to play together, not reasons to play together, but reasons to succeed, they need to succeed. Lauri Markkanen, rookie, wants to perform. Obviously, he has a pretty easy reason why he's performing. Zach LaVine, who just came back, and I was telling you off screen, I'm very impressed with Zach LaVine so far, and I actually really like Zach LaVine in general. I think he's kind of underrated. I think people kind of box him into being the dunking guy, but I honestly think he can shoot. I think he's a highly underrated player. But Zach LaVine and Markkanen, I feel have to prove that they're worth the value of Jimmy Butler.
Yeah.
And I think people the Chicago Bulls got roasted for that trade over the summer when they traded Jimmy Butler away for the pick and Zach LaVine. Mm-hmm. I think, honestly, at this point, as good as Jimmy Butler is playing, and we're going to talk about him in a little bit, I think that this trade is starting to look a lot better. Because look at what Lauri Markkanen's already done. He looks like a stud in the league. Mm-hmm. Zach LaVine, I mean, he's 1 game back, so I'm not saying it's perfect. But just from what they've gotten from Markkanen already, it's already starting to look kind of good. He's only 19. And then Zach LaVine, if he's even, if he plays like he did in his first game back against the Heat, if he can do that consistently, the trade in my mind is 100% it's a legit trade. It's a better trade than the Isaiah Thomas, Kyrie Irving trade.
Yeah.
Continue though.
No, I was just going to say, this Bulls team has a really good mix of guys that are hungry. Chris Dunn was a point guard for the Timberwolves before. I think that was a good pickup for them. It gives them a solid point guard who's been playing really well recently. 13 points, 6 assists, and 4 rebounds. So he's doing the most he can right now. I just think it's good. I mean, it's good to see that Chris Dunn is getting the minutes. He was drafted in the first round in 2016.
Number
5. So it's good to see that he's kind of been, I wouldn't say, because a lot of people would call bust picks if they don't play very well. But he's been a serviceable point guard.
He's a legit defender.
Denzel Valentine was another player which is a hit or miss type of pick, 14th overall in the first round by Chicago. So, not bad pickups, but then, of course, the guy that we've always been talking about, Lauri Markkanen, just stud. It just goes to show that, I wasn't really high on him, but then I, grew to him. Just kind of like you with Donovan Mitchell. It's kind of one of those things where you grow to a liking of a guy the more you see him play.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, all I can say really about the Bulls is that they're surprising a lot of people for a team that we thought was trying to go for the number 1 pick.
Yeah.
They're proving that this team is good enough to win, and the coach, they trusted the coach more than Jimmy Butler because it really was between the head coach and Jimmy Butler. They chose the head coach to rebuild this team because they knew that if they would have kept Jimmy Butler, there was no way that this team would be ready for competition.
He's already 28 too, so get the value, and in my mind they got really good value out of him.
Yeah.
But then even think of the biggest drama with this whole team, right?
Yeah.
Mirotic and Bobby Portis. Both of those guys have turned that whole drama-fueled fight into a good reason to play and perform well night in and night out. More so for Mirotic, but like he's playing for a trade.
Yeah.
And, it sounds like he still wants that trade, which if he does get traded, he has good value right now.
Yeah.
Like he has great value for the Bulls. So everything is kind of looking up for the Bulls as far as their rebuild is concerned, because they should be one of the worst teams in the league, and they just don't play like the worst team in the league. For the last 3 weeks, they just haven't played like one of the worst teams in the league.
Yeah. I mean, the last thing I'll say is that, Mirotic is leading the team in scoring.
Yeah.
So, obviously, he's either trying to look for a trade or he's trying to at least get in the starting lineup at some point, but most likely for a trade. So, Mirotic's been playing well, Markkanen's been playing well, and it just goes to show you that this Bulls team, like you said, they're not playing for the number one pick. They're playing to just be a decent franchise. I mean, sometimes we can't always be the Warriors, we can't always be the Cavs or the Raptors. So sometimes you have to settle, and the Chicago Bulls are doing a very good job with what they have to win games.
I agree. I like this team, and I think they have a really solid young core that if they can keep a hold of them for the next 5 years, their team could end up being legitimately really good. And it's not going to be next year or even 2 years from now. It's probably going to be 3 or 4 years. A couple more pieces to this team, they're going to be a legit team in the league.
Exactly.